So Kommo-o, I really didn't really like him. Honestly, I never really used him because he's dragon fighting, so he has a 4 times weakness to fairy. And like that's why I didn't like using him, because of this big weakness to fairy. But he's not bad. Like I didn't like him because of the weakness to fairy, plus his stats were really weird for a pseudo-legendary. Like they tried to make him bulk. They tried to make him like really defensive, but his signature move lowers defense. And he's a 4 time. He's a 4 time weakness to fairy, so it's not conducive to be tanky and then have a really big weakness to exploit. But in general, dragon's really like good when it comes to resistances. But like if you look at it, dragon resists I think fire, water, bug, grass, and he gets these 3 off of fighting. But at the same time, he gains like he gains 3 of these weaknesses from fight. Well, he gets 3 from fighting and 3 from dragon, to be fair. But it's not a good typing in terms of being defensive, because it's just not good, because it doesn't really help. It's not a good typing, especially the 4 times weak, and fairy is semi-common, so like it's not good. I would say fairy's common actually, so it's really bad. And pretty much anything fairy one-shots, especially because fairies are more special and he has low special defense. But 75 with his 125 defense is good. 105 special defense is still good. Like as long as he doesn't get hit with like a fairy, as long as he doesn't get hit with like a special super effective hit, he should survive. Except for fairy, I think he's just gonna lose most fairies, and like Mimikyu will destroy him. But other than that, he should be able to survive. Maybe not dragon, because dragon's kind of hit hard. But other than dragon, he should survive physical hits. And he's a good switch in with the resistances. He can switch into a good amount. But his abilities, he's really good abilities in my opinion. He has bulletproof, which makes it so that he's immune to all these moves. He's immune to all these moves. But honestly, the only ones you'll really see are Sludge Bomb, Shadow Ball, Seed Bomb, maybe Rock Blast if you go against something with Skill Link. Pyro Ball, like he resists Pyro, but the problem is he resists so many of these, like rock, grass, fire. So he resists, I think poison's neutral. Yeah, so he resists, oh, I didn't even do that. He resists a lot of these, which is the problem. Gyro Ball, Gyro Ball's neutral. But it's like, he resists so many of them, like Aura Sphere, he can block Aura Sphere. Beak Blast isn't in the game. Bullet Seed, he resists. Electro Ball, he resists. Energy Ball, he resists. That's just the problem. Ice Ball, no one really uses Ice Ball. But like that's the problem, is just with Bulletproof, he just resists most of these moves. He'll get his most off of Shadow Ball and Sludge Bomb and maybe Gyro Ball. Like those are the only ones that really would matter. And Pollen Puff, maybe. No, he resists Bug. Yeah, he resists. That's the problem. He could switch in though on one of these moves, like a Shadow Ball, if something specs or scarfed into one of these moves and just switch in and just eat it. He could do that. But I was gonna say, like when I first saw his abilities, like they're both really good, but like they're both, I would say Soundproof. Soundproof's his other ability with Overcoat. Overcoat's not that good. Compared to these two, Overcoat's not that good because, okay, you're immune to the powder moves like Sleep Powder and stuff, which is decent, but like you're not gonna see that often. And he's immune from weather. But I think Soundproof's the better of them because you're immune to Clanging Scales, which Clanging Scales, he's immune. These two are his moves, or Clanging Scales, and he has 2 signature moves: Clanging Scales, and Clangorous Soul. These 2 are his signature moves. He just got this one in Sword and Shield, and I didn't even know that. And that's part of the reason I wanted to make this. But it's immune to Clanging Scales, which is really good. Chatter. I don't even know if Chatter's in the game. Bug Buzz, he resists. Boom Burst is really good though. For like Noivern, like Boom Burst is really good for his Throat Spray. He can switch in and just eat it. Same with Clanging Scales. Disarming Voice is, you're not gonna really see that. But that's the problem. The problem with this is just most of these moves are status, so it doesn't really matter. Like you're not gonna see Parting Shot very often. Perish Song, Relic Song. Like you're not gonna see these. That's the only thing. Like between not seeing, like Snarl and Doubles, I would say is good. But like it's both of his abilities are really good, but they're just super situational. It just depends on what you want. Soundproof is really good against other Kommo-os, but other than that, like they're both just iffy at best, really. But onto the moves. This is one that, like, if you want to run a physical one, you kind of have to have speed. Like, that's the biggest problem, is he has 85 speed, so the +1, just the +1 isn't enough, because Dragapult outspeeds. and probably KOs you, especially with Dragon. Like, the problem is, it isn't the fact that Dragapult outspeeds you and KOs you, it's the fact that you're gonna be against Dragapult. He hits you, you survive, you Dragon Dance, and then he outspeeds, KOs you still. That's the problem. So it doesn't matter anyway. So you kind of have to go max speed. But with this, you KO Dragapult with Dual Chop. You could also run Dragon Claw instead of Dual Chop, but Dual Chop is good because it breaks Sashes. It gives you that extra, like, you trade in 10% accuracy to break Sashes, pretty much. So it's what you want. Close combat, I think, is really good. I think it's either close combat or Drain Punch, I would say, for that other move, the fighting coverage. But you might as well do close combat, because by the time you use Dragon Dance, you're gonna faint to the next move anyway. Also, one thing about the bulletproof and the soundproof is that they don't know what you have, so they might think you have soundproof, and then they use Shadow Ball and it's immune, so it's really good for that. But close combat, I think, is the best fighting move. And then Earthquake. This one is depending on what you want. Because of Dragon, this is why I said it's not a good typing, because okay, you have your 2 stab moves, but Fairies hurt you, Mimikyu hurts you, Angel Slash hurts you. Anything that's Ghost and Resist Dragon just really shuts you down. So the last spot is like, you can get shut down with Kommo-o with Dragon Dance very easily, unless you don't run close combat, but that's a lot of damage. Or Dragon Claw, or Dual Chop. You can get rid of Dual Chop, I would say. Dual Chop, or I would say Dual Chop versus Earth. I would say get rid of Dual Chop if anything, for either, because he also learns Iron Head and Poison Jab, which are really good for fairy coverage, depending on what you want. What do you want to take out? Also, I would keep Earthquake because Angel Slash shuts you down. Mimikyu is just a bad matchup for Kommo-o anyway. But the reason why you want to run Poison Jab or Iron Head, even though like fairies will one-shot you, is in case they switch in a fairy. You want to be able to do something to it. So it kind of matters. I would say Dual Chop though, just because Earthquake, because if you get rid of Earthquake for one of the 2, then Angel Slash shuts you down, and Toxtricity, or not Toxtricity, Toxapex. So I would get rid of Dual Chop, because close combat's way more damage. You'd also run like a tankier one. I wouldn't really run Assault Vest on him, just because then it's not enough with just Assault Vest. So I would run max special defense, max health, and bulk up, and get health back with Drain. Like between the Drain Punch and the Berry, you should be able to get at least 1 or 2 bulk ups. Dragon Claw or Dual Chop, depending on what you want. And then Earthquake, again, you can take out Dragon Claw. I would say Dragon Claw for one of the other moves, but it's just to survive. If you don't, the only problem with this, like again with being bulky, is just Fairy. Fairy shuts you down. Like Fairy comes in and one-shots you, and if it's Mimikyu, it one-shots you. If it's Grimmsnarl, he just eats your hit and KOs you. Or Grimmsnarl comes in, or like the other problem is if they switch in a Fairy type, then you're just like, oh, so you get shut down kind of hard. You could also Dragon Dance. Dynamax. This is Dynamax. If you want to Dynamax him, you can just Dragon Dance, and then these would be the moves. Outrage, and then Iron. I would say Iron Tail for the damage. Like these are just a lot of damage Dynamax moves. They come in. It'll do a lot. You one shot a lot with this too, and you're really bulky. Like as long as you don't get hit with, again, Fairy, but Life Orb kind of takes it away. But yeah, that's the Dynamax one, and this is the one that made me like want to do Kommo-o, because I was doing online battles and I ran against Clamorous Soul, and I didn't even know this was in the game. I didn't know he got this move as a signature move now. Plus it activates Throat Spray, so you get +2. You get all your, so pretty much this move raises all your stats by 1, but you lose a third of your health, plus Throat Spray, so you get a ton of health back. Plus you get a +2. You get a +2. Use a third of your health for all your stats, +1, and +2 special attack. So pretty much you now outspeed every. So it's pretty much, it works better against a setup that doesn't have a Sash, or something that can't hit you super effective, because you'll survive most likely. So then pretty much you eat that hit, you have a ton of special attack, you outspeed everything with the speedy nature, and then you have Clanging Souls, which does Clanging Scales, which does a ton of damage, but it lowers your defense, which again, I don't know why they decided that on a bulky Pokemon to have that. Aura Sphere for the stab, and then Flash Cannon to take out fairy types. You could also get rid of, I would say, Aura Sphere. What you want to do though, if you don't want to Dynamax him, I would say run it like this. But if you want to Dynamax, which is probably the better way to do it, I would get rid of Aura Sphere, just because fighting type moves, 1, it raises your attack, which doesn't matter, and 2, fighting moves get capped off a lot lower than the rest of them. I would run either Boom Burst. I would probably run Flamethrower over Boom Burst just because of the coverage against Steel types. So you can actually hit Steel types and like Angel Slash and stuff like that. But Boom Burst does more damage. But Flamethrower gives you coverage. You could also drop Clinging Scales for, if you want to Dynamax, you could also drop Clinging Scales for Draco Meteor just for more damage. But it's just if you want to Dynamax this or not. It also gives you extra health, so you'll probably survive an extra hit, which is really good. But some of the other things, like Assault Vest, I don't really like it just because, okay, you Assault Vest. Now what? Do you go full defense and like Body Press, or because you can't use status moves then, so it's like, where do you go from there? I don't really like it. He also learns Aqua Tail, which is good water coverage. Poison Jab again for fairies if you don't want to run Iron Head, just depending on what you go up against and what do you want to cover out. He also learns Body Press, but I would rather run Drain Punch because the only time Body Press would be really useful if you run Bulk Up. He also learns, okay, you could. Alright, I'm gonna get back to Body Press in a second. Rock Slide for good coverage against flying. Also, Shadow Claw is really good against Angel Slash and Ghost types if you're worrying about the ghosts with the fighting. But back to Body Press, because I forgot about this. You could do something along, you could just make him a physical wall with like Body Press. You'd have to do something like this with Iron Defense, Body Press. But I don't know where you would go from here is the only problem. I don't know where you would go from here because it's like, okay, cool. You're going off of your attack, or you're going off your defense now, but he doesn't learn, I guess, Toxic. Iron Defense, Body Press, Toxic. But he doesn't have any recovery. That's the only thing. Rest, maybe? Like, I wouldn't. It's not that good. This is not. That's the only thing about Body Press. It's just, you get the defense, now what? But you could also. He also learns Autotomize and Rock Polish if you want the speed. Like, if you baton past either special attack or attack, you can spend a turn with the Autotomize or Rock Polish to get the speed, or if you give him speed, you can use Swords Dance just for the higher attack. Like if you baton pass it, but that's pretty much Kommo-o. Also Ice Punch, Outrage. I don't like getting stuck in the one move, but he also learns. What you could do though is Focus Sash. One thing you could do though, I just thought about that. I saw the move and I forgot, but you could really Focus Sash, max it. I'm gonna have to change this. Max attack, max speed, and reversal. I'm pretty sure he learns reversal. Pretty sure I saw that. Let's see. Does he not learn? Yeah, reversal. So you can just come in on a fairy type, or maybe not on a fairy type, but like come in on something you know can hit you with a fairy move and just reversal. I think that's the only move. I think you could do that. It would do a ton of damage because there's a stab and everything. And you could either run the counters also Endeavor, reversal Endeavor. Well, not Endeavor, but you could do. I don't know. You could do that if you just want to be a reversal. But I think there are better ones because you would have to use. Autotomize or Rock Polish for that last. You'd have to use that to get the speed. Ignore Endeavor. Actually, you could keep Endeavor as like something you know you won't one shot. Endeavor reversal. But you'd have to Autotomize. Hope they'd bring you down to 1 health. But there are better ones to me to do that than him. But that's Kommo-o. I think this one's really good in doubles though. This one, I think this is probably his best in doubles. He's really good in doubles. I really want to try this one now, but that's Kommo-o.